On the hard days, or the days you want to quit, or the days the kids want to quit, what keeps you going?
The Lord, it always brings me back. Honest conversation with the Lord for me is huge. The bad days always turn into good days.
The mother's heart is the child's schoolroom.
Yep.
And so when we're at peace, they're at peace.
Yes. If we're happy and at peace, oftentimes
Yes,
our kids
yes,
are happy.
yes. Welcome to the Zan Tyler podcast. We are officially hitting our 4-year anniversary, and if you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook, you'll see we're also celebrating a brand new look. We're so glad you're here. Before we dive into today's conversation, take a second to hit subscribe or leave a 5-star review. It's the best way to help us keep this mission growing for the next 4 years. Stephanie Price is here with us today. Stephanie is Caleb's wife, and we are so delighted you're here.
Oh, thanks for having me,
So
Zan.
I think you started homeschooling in August of 2022, around the same time we started the podcast.
Yep.
So how many kids do you and Caleb have?
We have 5 kiddos.
Okay.
5 kiddos, 10 and under. So it's a party all the time.
So when you started, you were only homeschooling Grayson.
Only Grayson, our oldest.
Okay.
Yep.
And now are you into homeschooling
And
the
now
5?
We're doing 2.5. We're doing 2 full-time homeschoolers, and then our 5-year-old is in preschool. And then next year we'll have all 5 in pre-K, kinder, 3rd, and 4th.
So this is your 5th year coming up.
Officially 5 years.
So what was your first year of homeschooling like compared to what you thought homeschooling would be as you look back?
Well, like a lot of moms, I didn't plan to homeschool from the beginning. I thought that we'd have our kids, I'd stay home until they were 5, and then I'd launch them into the world, and I'd have a little more leeway.
Free time. Do some things you want to do.
Whatever that means.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure.
Right.
So
Whatever free time is.
I don't know what that is.
Forget as homeschool moms. Okay.
If I did have free time, I don't even know what I would do with it. So I kind of thought that's what we would do. And then Caleb, the producer of the show, did a documentary about homeschooling. And I just thought, never in a million years I'm going to do that. Joke's on me, because we started, and honestly, it was a lot easier than I had expected for kindergarten. As the years have gone on, it's looked different every year.
That's right.
But we had lived in California then. We live in Colorado now. But California made it really easy, actually, ironically, to homeschool in whatever way we saw fit. And Grayson's first year, I realized we needed 30 minutes a day, maybe, to accomplish what he needed to know. And everything else was so hands-on. And I've loved that.
So what has surprised you about homeschooling, Stephanie?
Great question. I think the flexibility of it has been my biggest surprise. Again, I had thought, coming from somebody who public schooled, we'll do English in the morning and math in the next subject and this in the next subject. And it has been so flexible. We do school at the park, and we do school out in our backyard, and it's not as time consuming. We're done with school by noon every day, which has been, I think, the biggest surprise is we do have some time.
We had a friend who started homeschooling, just a junior high schooler, and she was interested in gymnastics, and so she needed a lot of flexibility. And he called Joe after the first few days and said, we're finishing our schoolwork in 2.5 hours. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And it is that flexibility. And if all you've ever known, like all I had ever known, was a classroom,
exactly,
there's very little flexibility because the schedule has to keep moving. And but the flexibility in the efficiency, the flexibility in changing locations. We were talking earlier today. Sometimes, when the end of the day has come.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody's got that look, and you
Yeah.
may as well quit and pick up the books later.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
everybody's got the dazed, we've had enough look.
For sure. And that has been one of the things I love most about homeschool. There are days that my kids need a rest day, truly. And so we can kind of flex, be like, okay, we'll rest this morning and do a few things this afternoon. But really, if we need a day off, we take a day off. And that has been nice for me.
Yeah.
And them.
That is, homeschooling does come with a lot of hard things.
Sure.
And so if you can, I had a friend who used to play the violin, and she would tell me you need to play every string you have when you homeschool.
Yes.
And if you can learn the flexibility and not be afraid of it, like you've got to keep that strict type school schedule, it really does make a difference in the way your year goes.
So true.
So what about your kids? Are they happy homeschooling?
They love it. My oldest loves it the most. We were talking earlier, he would just love to be home. And then I have some social butterflies that would love to be out and with people all day.
The time, right.
And that's kind of the cool part of homeschool. Like, I can leave my son home with my husband, and me and the girls can go out and have a good time.
I remember Joe, my husband, used to always say once we started homeschooling the boys, he said, in my next life, I want to come back as a homeschool boy.
Yeah. Seriously. Wild.
Yes. The woods would have been calling him every day too.
Every day.
Yes. So, yeah.
Alone in the woods with it.
So what is the biggest lesson you think you've learned in the last 4 years?
Flexibility is key. Teaching my kids to learn how to learn is the goal.
Yes.
I think I started being like, they're going to get their reading, they're going to learn this, they're going to learn how to sit. And it hasn't been that at all, though. I think the biggest lesson is teaching them to learn how to learn.
There's so much knowledge now that you can't teach every fact. You can't teach every skill. But if you can teach them to love learning and that it's a continual process, it doesn't end at 3:00 in the afternoon or in June when school gets out, then that's really a victory.
It is. Yeah. And teaching every kid their specific way of learning, right? I have one kid that loves the books. Like, she is just that quintessential
learner. Yes.
And then I have other kids that are not that way. And so teaching them, like, oh, you don't have to do the same as your sister or your brother has been huge. So flexibility in that, and then just teaching them to learn how to learn.
Yes. And we were talking, I had one son, we would look at the workbook, and sometimes we would just do it orally together because he was very auditory.
Yes.
And we could speed through 8 questions and nothing flat, and he was like this. But if he had to write down all those answers, especially in early elementary school, we would have been pulling teeth by the end of the year.
Yes. Exactly.
So there are a lot of ways you can keep kids happy or at peace, with their schoolwork, rather than having the conflict that comes from just having to do too much too soon or the wrong way for them or whatever. We can just make those concessions automatically through the school day.
Definitely.
I do love that about homeschooling.
And I think that as like a young mom that was in the public school system, I think that sometimes, if I can just speak to the moms, sometimes I have struggled with like even shame in that, like, oh, they didn't write enough today, or oh, they didn't do this today. And like, that has been a learning process too, to be like, I just need to back off.
Yes.
And it's fine.
And let them learn.
Daily, actually.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's just like the shame can come on you because we were set in such a system that said, like, you have to live this way. You have to transfer this. And if we can let that go and just like let it wash over us, our kids are happier. We are happy. If we're happy and at peace, oftentimes our kids are happy at peace.
That is so true. There's a quote I love. I'm trying to remember who it's by now. Is Harriet Beecher Stowe's brother, who was a pastor, and he said that the mother's heart is the child's schoolroom.
Yep.
And so when we're at peace, they're at peace.
Yes.
If we love homeschooling, chances are they will like it more. They might not always be in love with it. But if we're grumbling and complaining about homeschooling, we can bet they're going to be grumbling and complaining about it. So,
out of personal experience,
yeah,
it has the case.
so going to Pinterest and creating the perfect classroom is probably the easier of the two than managing your own heart. But I think our heart is really probably one of the big predictive factors of success in homeschooling.
I agree. And even the Pinterest thing, like there are seasons that's a tool, and there are seasons where that is a thorn in your side that reminds you how much you're quote unquote not doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes, again, learning for a mom, is this a tool or is this going to just make me feel bad?
Yes. Sharon Fisher, who works with me at BJU Press Homeschool, often says the curriculum is the tool, not the rule.
Exactly.
And so as long as we can keep it the tool and not the rule, we're all in a lot better shape.
That's so good.
So you said actually homeschooling was easier for you than you expected in the beginning. You know, and I think, so this is for the new moms who are out there thinking about homeschooling. I always felt like our decision to homeschool was much more difficult than the homeschooling ever was, because you're looking at every eventuality. What are my parents going to say? What are my in-laws going to say? What are my neighbors going to say? What are the people at church going to say? You know, what is my husband going to think? Or how are the kids going to do? Are they going to fail? Am I going to get so you're processing so many would-be, could-be situations that it's really hard to make the decision. But it's like once you make the decision, you have God's grace to help you deal with the school every day, with what's going to come up, with the character training.
For sure.
You know, I think one of the things I loved about homeschooling is that you can deal with character issues as they happen and not wait for a teacher to send you a report card after 6 weeks and say, Johnny is struggling with his attitude. Well, we know when the bad attitude hits at home. It's a whole lot easier to deal with it then.
I agree. I think the choice to homeschool, we of course made the choice to homeschool, and it will be a long-term choice. However, my philosophy as a more type B mom is like every kid every year. So I literally take it year by year. I'm like, for this year, this is what we're doing. And then I am very quick. If something doesn't work, we toss it. We choose and move.
Yes.
This doesn't work. We move on. And I think the coming at it from a lighthearted sense. And like, okay, if something needs to change, we'll change it. Can take a lot of the pressure off.
That is true.
Significantly. And I think that when we started homeschooling Grayson, our first year, I was like, I will do this year. And I honestly, if I'm honest, I'm like, next year we'll send him in first grade.
And it will be glorious. Yes, that's right. That's right.
And that hasn't been the case, and that's awesome. But every year we reevaluate. What do they need? What do I need? How can we come up with a very cohesive, sacrificial heart? It's always a sacrifice, whatever you decide.
Yes, that's right.
And give them the best that they can possibly get with us not losing our minds. Or we might.
That's right.
Fine.
That's true. That's true. So let me ask you this, because you've been around the podcast a lot, just because Caleb produces, and we're always bringing you in to ask your advice on things. So has there been a favorite podcast episode that's been meaningful to you?
All of mine are favorites. All of your episodes are my favorite. No, I think that for me, because of the person I am, the practical episodes are so great. She, though, is a BJU consultant, and she was on here speaking about how she sets up her year. And it was so helpful for me because she set up her year so counter to how everybody else. She said, we do one subject at a time. And it just brought me so much peace, because I was like, oh, we get to decide.
Yes.
And she was just very fluid with the way she homeschooled, which I really admire.
Right. Appreciate. Yeah. So what on the hard days, or the days you want to quit, or the days the kids want to quit, what keeps you going?
Oh, man. A few things. One, I would just like to say thank you for bringing that up, because there are days that we will all want to quit.
Yes.
And it will look very appealing.
Yes.
And honestly, it's attainable. If I wanted to, I could quit tomorrow and send my kids to school on Monday. Like, really. But I think the Lord, it always brings me back. Honest conversation with the Lord for me is huge. Like, Lord, I don't want to do this anymore. Please. And honestly, the prayer is, if you want to release me, release me. And if you don't, give me the grace to keep going.
Yes.
But also, our bad days always turn into good days. Like, typically when I hit like the peak, like I can't do this anymore, the pressure lifts. So if I remember that in a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna lose my mind, generally in like a day, I'm like, okay, we can reset. And I would suggest that to moms who want to quit, take a break. That's generally my thing. Like, we need a few days off.
Yes, that's
even
right.
if it's a week. Even if
Sometimes
it's like,
mental health breaks.
totally.
We need those too, you
If
know?
we've been going strong for 6 weeks, I don't like quickly say we're taking a week off and we're just going to have fun and do the library and the zoo and the,
And those are all learning things too.
what that doesn't mean our
Yes.
homeschool completely comes to a halt.
That's
But
right.
again, the pressure release needs to be there. And sometimes that just means a few days off.
You know, I can remember being behind in our paperwork for our homeschooling organization one of the first years we homeschooled. And we have a neighbor who's a public school teacher. And she said, Zan, when I get behind, we have a reading day in school.
Exactly.
You know, the kids will bring a sleeping bag or whatever and roll them out and bring their favorite books. And while I catch up, they read. Now, I don't know if that's still possible today to do things like that. But, it does show that we have a lot of tools in our tool chest, and we just need to discover what they are and learn how to use them. But I do think what you said about, just the Lord is with us in our homeschooling, and He is for us.
Yes.
And He is our superintendent of education, and He's our therapist.
Yes.
He's our counselor.
And we can be honest.
Yes, that's
we can say, like, I want to quit today. That doesn't mean we will. I think that is to what I've learned, that honestly, the importance of having other homeschool community in those moments and being like, hey, y'all, I want to quit today. I mean, I literally said that the other day to a group in a text thread, and everyone was like, me too. We hit this time of year. Every year I feel like this. And it was like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yes.
We can stop now.
Yes.
Truly. I mean, we stopped at 3/4 of the way through a lot of our book work this year because we had accomplished all of our objectives.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it is just like throwing up the flag and everyone was like, me too. I'm with you.
Yeah. So now, will you take the summer off?
Yes.
We had some friends, who would do 6 weeks on, 1 week off, and not take the summer break. But when we homeschooled, all of our kids' friends, because we didn't know anybody else in the world who was homeschooling, were on the school schedule. So it was real important for them to have their summers and their time to play with their friends in the neighborhood.
Yeah. We definitely go lighter. We don't stop altogether just because actually for me, it makes me lose momentum, but we pull way back and we'll do reading. Again, the zoo, the library, we're still learning. And those days count.
That's right. Yeah, they do.
Significantly.
They do
and honestly, we do a pool every year for the summer. And those days count too.
Yes.
They truly do. Like, they're finding new friends and
that's right.
finding ways to plan. There's so many easy ways.
Part of their 1,000 hours outside.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
So, we will take a summer. We haven't in the last few years, and we have felt it. For me, we have felt
yes,
it.
have felt it.
Okay,
yes.
We need
you really need a break, an extended break for you, and mental fatigue.
Yes.
Having the momentum to begin again in the fall. I needed that too. Yes. Not everybody needs that, but I really did need that. We've talked before about being highly sensitive persons. Yes. And so maybe that's part.
We just need a little brain.
Yeah.
I always say that to my kids, like, mommy needs a brain break.
Yeah.
And so do they.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah. That's right. That's good. Well, you've done this already a little bit. Do you have anything to share, any advice or wisdom after homeschooling for 5 years to give new moms who are starting out, or moms maybe who have been doing it for a while who are really struggling?
Yeah. I always say, go to God with your honest feelings and live very open-handedly on everything. And He will take things out, put things back, give you ideas. Gosh, if He is not the most person that's given me the freshest ideas, truly, about every one of my kids. So start there. I would say start there. And then secondly, take your time to figure out who your kids are. If you're a new homeschool mom, again, we only did 30 minutes for kindergarten and maybe an hour for first grade. Once we hit second grade and we've done third grade, it's gotten bigger, but it's just to get to know who they are. And once you have your kids' hearts, you have it all.
That is true.
You really don't need anything more. You don't need a skill set or something specific to teach them. Once you know their heart, you can kind of maneuver into how they learn and what they need. Really is.
Yeah, that's really true. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it. And our first day in our new set. That's beautiful. Exciting.
It's so beautiful.
Caleb, thank you. And I want to thank Mike Knott, and all the people at Homeworks and BJU Press Homeschool for helping make this possible. So Stephanie, how can people find you?
Yeah, they can actually find me through a nonprofit, mamaicu.co on Instagram. And I'd love to see them there. My face pops in and out. But
okay, so tell us what that is.
Yes, Mama ICU is a nonprofit that
you started.
I did start it last year, and it specifically helps NICU moms that are going through like some of the hardest parts of their life. So I have a lot of mom content on there and just helpful ways to get connected in generosity in their community.
So for those of us who may not know, explain what NICU is and what your ministry does for the babies who are there.
The NICU is the neonatal ICU.
Okay.
And I ended up there with one of my twins, and it's just one of the hardest seasons of a mom's life. And so we walked that season, and we had a baby in there for 11 days. And after you give birth and end up having to crawl down hallways, that really puts an imprint on you. So we create curated bags for moms that need some extra love and will be there for a while. So we create these bags to show them that they're seen, valued, and loved through items that they're not given in the hospital.
Oh, that's special. So give us the website one more time.
mamaicu.com. And then you can find me on Instagram at mamaicu.co.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And as always, you can find me at zantyler.com and on social media. We really appreciate your taking the time to be with us. We know you have a lot of places you can spend your time. We just pray that God continues to bless you and your family in your homeschool journey. Until next time, bye.